At number 5 this week.
I'm Denzel Washington. We're here on the set of City Slickers 5, How Curly Got Her Groove Back.
Actually, it's Magnificent 7, riding into theaters Friday with high expectations.
Come see me.
Real-life men of faith, Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt lead the all-star cast. Pratt, famous for superhero roles like Star-Lord, is Josh Faraday in this remake of the classic Western.
You play larger-than-life roles very often. This, I consider one of them. Does your son look to you as a superhero?
No, just a dad. Which is a superhero in a way, yeah.
And Super Dad tells Parade he's taking a little bit of a break from acting to spend more time with his wife and their 3-year-old son.
Action!
The Disney film Queen of Katwe comes in at number 4.
Joseph, why are you letting her win?
I'm not letting her.
She won your bishop.
What I'm saying cannot be true.
It's based on the real-life story of Fiona Mutesi, a girl who rises from the slums of Uganda to become a chess champion.
This is a chance for them to visit the finest school in the country.
Oh, well, how can I pay school fees?
David Oyelowo plays the role of Fiona's coach, and Academy Award winner Lupita Nyong'o plays the role of Fiona's mom.
You cried after reading only 10 pages of this script. What made you cry?
Well, because it was a script like none other I had been presented with. It was an uplifting African story from right across the border in Uganda.
At number 3, actors George Clooney and Don Cheadle use their star power to unveil a major report on war profiteering in South Sudan.
This morning, we're prepared to give evidence of massive criminal behavior by the president of South Sudan.
The massive investigation Clooney delivered to the president comes from a human rights organization he created.
The simple fact is, they're stealing the money to fund their militias to attack and kill one another.
George's call for action from the international community comes just as his wife Amal begins a push to take on ISIS in court.
The human rights lawyer and George's wife appears on Today to discuss her client, an ISIS human trafficking survivor.
How did you make this decision?
She made me make the decision because I met her and I just thought, I can't walk away from this.
But it was a well-thought-out choice because of the potential danger in dealing with ISIS.
You know, this is something I discuss with my husband before I would take on something like this.
At number 2,
in my time zone when my mind's gone and I'm
is 2-time Grammy Award-winning artist Lecrae, whose breakthrough album Anomaly now climbs to gold status. This track from the album earned him a 2015 Grammy nomination for Best Rap Performance. And despite criticism from the Christian community, Lecrae continues to use his platform to shine a light on the issue of race. Most recently weighing in on the Colin Kaepernick protest with this tweet: "Take a knee, people riot. Take a bullet, people quiet."
Hold traffic, I've got a subject who won't show me his hands.
That tweet came with news of a Tulsa family mourning the loss of an unarmed black man, Terrence Crutcher, shot dead by a police officer.
Blessed are those who are persecuted, you know what I mean? And so I look at it from that perspective.
Does it hurt when Christians attack like that?
Of course, yeah, I mean, of course. You know, it never feels good, especially coming from Christians, right?
So the race conversation continues. With the rich history of black art, entertainment, and culture coming to life in our nation's capital, and filling the top spot in this week's Top 5, Studio 5 got this sneak peek inside the museum.
It has been 100 years in the making. The Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture is about to open its doors to the public.
That opening is September 24th.
This museum will challenge your emotions. Tears will be shed here. But there's joy to be found too.
Okay. Gotta say, this is cool.
Like Chuck Berry's cherry red Cadillac.
Well, let's go back to the number 5 on your list. Let's talk about the movies. Which one are you going to go see? Or have you already seen them?
I've seen them both, and I will take my family to see both. I'll leave my daughter out of Magnificent Seven, but my 16-year-old son and wife, we can enjoy Magnificent Seven. My daughter will enjoy Queen of Katwe, as well as the rest of the family. Both really well done. Magnificent Seven, because of language and naturally violence in a Western, not suitable for families. It's rated PG-13.
But Queen of Katwe is, everybody can go see it. What an incredible story.
It is amazing. And my research for the story actually just turned to 700 Club Interactive to watch the story that was done right here on the life of this young girl. And not only did she...
Les Wickard really went out of his way to get that story done. And it's a beautiful one. So if you don't want to go see the movie or you want to get a preview of what the story's about, all you have to do is go to our website and just type in Katwe and you'll get the story.
I had a chance to meet the real-life girl, and literally, not only did she find chess at this Christian club where she learned to play chess, she also found Christ there. And that coach, who is an engineer by training, is still taking in children, having them live with him, and helping them navigate and find their way out of the slums of Uganda. It's beautiful to see.
All right. Well, let's switch to terrorism. Amal Clooney wants to take ISIS into court. I admire her courage. What do you think?
I admire her courage as well. And of course, she's inspired by a woman that she met who was trafficked, a sex slave, if you will, at the hands of ISIS. And she felt like, I can't not do something. I can't not do something. Her, being an attorney, naturally says, well, let's see if we can navigate ISIS through the legal system and hold them accountable. With the support of her husband, both of them taking a stand for issues and using their platform, her using not only her platform but her profession, to try and make a difference and help us to open our eyes to what's happening.
When I heard this story, I've kind of scratched my head a little bit and said, well, why hasn't this been done before? Why hasn't the International Court of Justice at The Hague, why haven't they done something before? Why does it take this?
I know. It baffles the mind that you wouldn't think. I mean, because this is not new. We've done reports on what ISIS does continuously at CBN News. So it is certainly high time that something be done.
Okay. Well, Lecrae, we're back together. Once again, we're talking about race in America.
Absolutely.
He's talking about race in America. What do you think about the criticism? And I actually really like his tweet, that there's a lot of outcry if you take a knee, but if somebody takes a bullet, there's quiet.
Yes, absolutely. And I think he's absolutely right. And he said, we're going to have a more extensive interview with him naturally in the days ahead, because I did sit down with him for a bit. But what he shared with me in that interview was this. He said what he realizes is that everyone's Christianity is still colored through culture. And there are some criticism that he knows comes just because of culture, not because it's necessarily biblical, but it just comes with culture. And if we realize that our own biases come to our faith, that will open our eyes and try and see the other person's perspective. Him taking it and realizing that makes it a little easier for him to bear the brunt of the criticism that he gets, but he gets a lot of criticism when he does speak out about that, because he got a very diverse audience of fans, and he makes them uncomfortable when he raises this issue, but he's not going to stop doing it. You should be.
That's my point. You should be. And you know, the old adage that good preaching makes the comfortable uncomfortable. You know, it comforts those who need to be comforted,
right.
But it makes those who are comforted uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
That you can't just rest in your Christianity. I've seen Christianity take on cultural bias in a lot of different countries, and whether that was the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, China, and you can see it, and you can see a cultural bias just based on caste in India or class in some Asian countries. But I always expected their experience with Christ to force them to transcend their culture and to look beyond it and to see the universal.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't we expect that in America right now?
We should demand it, and it should be an outcry on the streets, in church specifically. I talk to my pastor all the time, and I love the fact that when I come to church on Sunday and she is preaching, I very often feel uncomfortable through the heart of the sermon, because all these checks are going off at the things that I've allowed myself to bring my own baggage to and not allow Christ to open up and shine a light in.
Well, when you look at the history, and I think it's wonderful the museum is opening. That's great.
That's beautiful.
When you look at that history, you see Christianity throughout the history.
Absolutely.
That in the anti-slavery movement, led by Christians. The civil rights movement, led by Christians. And today, we need to be led by Christians if we're going to see resolution to our current problems.
And the beautiful thing about that is that it's Christians of all races, cultures, and denominations. It's when we all come together that the difference begins to happen.
And that's the true body of Christ.
You got that right.
Male nor female.
You got it. I love it.
Slave or free, we're all one.
You got it. Absolutely.
I feel like preaching. But I'll let Efrem do it. And if you want to watch his show, Studio 5, there are a couple ways you can see it. You can watch it on Roku, Apple TV, or you can go to cbn.com/Studio 5, and you can get the latest for him. Efrem, always a pleasure.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.